Welcome back, guys. You're tuned in to What's the Point, brought to you by Streamers International. I'm STS with the one and only Chris Park. How you guys feeling? Listen up. Today, we're going to be talking about artists and a tactic that is not new, but we've kind of seen a resurgence of it,
Right.
which is artists selling bundles with their albums. So they're bundling their albums in order to sometimes sell more of them or as a branding tactic, and I think that's really the point here. So when artists are bundling their albums, what that means is that they're selling their albums and they're accompanying them with more valuable incentives like concert tickets or merchandise, something along those lines, where you're not only getting the album but you're getting a plethora of things included with the album for a one-time price. Chris, what's the point?
Well, the point here is that there's a good and a bad way to do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At this point, bundles should be used by every artist to promote the sales of an album, right? But then there's another side of this where that can be used to kind of distort the truth of the overall, the value of the album, I guess you would say, right? Because, I know you were telling me before the show how like Pink used bundle sales to sell a ridiculous amount, like 400,000 albums in her first week, and then it dropped to like 60,000 plus albums the next week, right? So how many of those albums that she sold were just because people wanted the bundle? They didn't really want the album itself, but what the album came with, right?
Almost 300,000 of them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A big, giant chunk of that, right? So that can be used sometimes to distort, what we might see in the Billboard charts. It might
How
distort
good the album is.
Right.
How well it really is received.
Right.
You know.
I know a lot of Pink has a lot of fans, and not to say anything bad about her album or what she's done in her career as an artist, but but all it comes down to is what is the truth of the greatness of that album that she put out, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think we got two different ways we could look at it. Like you were saying, it's a sales tactic and a branding tactic. And I think that's the point, is that when it comes to a lot of the older artists that have actually had a career for quite some time, like 10 plus years, and they have a hardcore fan base and they have classic hits. So this is all music this is an artist that we want to see on tour, right? This isn't exactly an artist that we want to see or hear new music from, because we're not really interested in that. We're interested in the tour and their classic music. So it's a tactic of increasing album sales, because you're going to bundle. People are going to go to the tour, but they don't necessarily want to hear your album. Doesn't mean they won't redeem it, because it doesn't, according to Billboard, it doesn't calculate as an album sale unless they actually redeem the album. Mm-hmm. But we all know they just want to go to the concert. Like that's obvious, right? We can see that as the fall from album sales, that you have 400,000 in the first week, then you drop to 64 in the second week. So, sales tactic there. You're bundling that, and we can see that, it's just a tactic to raise your album sales, And so my point is that when you see it done tastefully, in my opinion, from like Travis Scott, who recently just did an album bundle sale where he bundled his album with merchandise and then access to pre-sale tickets for his upcoming tour, which wasn't announced, but that's really not the point here. The point is that I feel like that was done right? Because when you're bundling it and it's a complete product, right? It was like Astroworld, the album, and then you had Astroworld, the physical pop-ups that he had popping up all over the world. It was almost like it was all one complete thing, and he was describing how each one of his songs was a ride at the amusement park that was the concept. It's all like one product. It's almost like, I need to sell the album with the tour because you need this with this. It wasn't like two separate things. Like, I'm just going to include this in here because when you want to go to the tour, the albums are going to go with it.
Right.
So when I'm looking at artists like that, I'm saying sales tactic, just increase the album sales. To me, it's pretty deceiving because that's not a testament to how well the album was. Which we saw something different with Travis Scott. We didn't see it fall down to 80,000 albums. We saw it go from first week sold over 500,000, in the second week he sold over 200,000.
Right.
He didn't go from 500
to 30
right, to 16. So you saw that it was truly a great album, and you saw that it was one product, and so he bundled it together for that purpose, not to sell his album.
And that type of thing can be utilized for a smaller artist, right? And that's kind of the point I wanted to bring up from the beginning here, is that these bundling tactics should be used by artists to monetize their product better, right? So when you use a tactic like this, a branding tactic, and you attach your album with a tour and with specific merchandise, and everything goes together cohesively, it creates an experience for the user, for the fan, right? And the fan,
totally different market now.
that's what they buy into, is that
the market.
experience,
That's
right?
what the fan wants.
Exactly.
That's what the super fan wants.
Right. They're looking for that experience that comes with that artist. That's exactly what they bought you into you in the first place.
Exactly.
For, right?
That's really what they
if
like.
If they
about
liked
you.
your song enough
like
to want to
you.
listen to it
Exactly.
again, they like something about you, like something about the song, and they're probably going to start looking into you a little bit more. They're going to look into some more of your music, and they're going to want to become a bigger fan. And so when they go to spend money on your music, they're buying into something, right? And it's not your music
More
they're
than
buying
music.
into.
It's
Right.
more- They like more than they like.
They
than
can
just
listen to
music.
any music on Spotify. All they do is pay their $10 a month, and they can listen to that music, right? But when they're actually paying you directly for something, it's because something more than the music has affected them, and that's the experience. And that's what you need to create for your fan base, is that experience, right? So when you have an album come out, and you can bundle it with a specific merchandising or a specific type of tour, or whatever the case is, you're an artist, be creative, figure
think
that
that's
out.
something
But
you
when
should
you can
definitely
bundle
do.
that all together,
Yeah.
you create an experience, and that is a sales tactic that you can increase your bottom line.
Right.
And that's the bottom line.
Yeah, I think so too.
Right.
You know.
So we should all be taking examples from these artists and using these things in our own ways to better utilize, our own product.
Yeah, and like I said, I really don't have a problem with it. You know, I think that there's just a right and a wrong way to do it.
Right. Which
And I think that there's definitely opportunity at hand, right? And examples being set for newer artists to really think about how to get creative with your music and bundling it to where it's all one product. It's all the same brand. It's just a branding technique rather than a sales technique, which I
Right.
want people to really focus on. And as far as Billboard, my thing with them is I think they should just make the distinction in the numbers. Like literally, I think they need to make that adaptation in their system so
Right.
that it's very clear how well your album was received or how well
Right.
it wasn't. If it's a bundle, hey, these albums you sold 400, sold 225,000 in the bundle. You sold these this way. These are just regular album sales,
Right.
and then this is this. But that needs to be identified because I just think that's important for our industry and as musicians to know that for a bunch of different reasons.
I
you
agree.
know?
We have so much ability to track data aggressively and accurately now.
You don't want it to be perceived incorrectly.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's that hard. And that's its own thing. Billboard figured it out.
Billboard figured it out.
Make sure you're on streamersinternational.com. We've actually got a few really great examples of some marketing and branding tactics that artists are using and how they're bundling products together to increase sales and increase revenue. So definitely be on streamersinternational.com looking for those examples. And
Tune in.
as
Tune in.
always, be on the next episode because there'll be a lot more coming.
That's right. Check it out. Check it out.